the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, all members are present. Approval of the agenda, we have 3 additions to the agenda. 7I, approved payment voucher number 2, Beltline Center Street project. 7J, approved change orders for Beltline and the Center Street project. And 1 addition under 10F in the consent agenda, temporary extension of outdoor liquor permit, red carpet, August 22nd. Is there any other changes?
No.
Council? If not, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those 3 additions?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the August 5th, 2015 regular meeting. You all received those in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, clarification? Just 1 typo on page 3 and 7B. One word is misspelled. Won't make any difference. I think you understand it, but it should still be corrected. The city has been, so with that correction. Anything else that the council sees? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the August 5th, 2015 regular meeting?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith. Second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Now is our time for our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council on anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Seeing no one, our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings tonight. With that, we will move on to our reports and presentations. Police Department monthly reports. Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Activity report for the month of July 2015. Some of the numbers we had 6 alarm calls. We had 2 canine assists. We had 11 assists for other people. We had 27 assists for other agencies. We had 6 child custody issues. We had 3 controlled substance arrests. We had 9 dog complaints. We had 8 driving after revocation or suspended license, 4 small amount of marijuana and paraphernalia arrests, 4 gas drive-offs. We had 6 intoxicated person calls. We had 5 underage drinking citations given out, 13 matter of informations, 13 medicals, 5 misdemeanor warrants, 12 vehicle accidents, 23 suspicious calls, 9 thefts, and we had 5 verbal disputes. We gave out 221 verbal warnings. We had 341 calls for a total activity of 562. Compare that to the month of June, we were down by calls by 17. Down for warnings, 114, and total activity, we're down 131. And then we compare that to July of 2014, we were down calls about 24, and warnings were down 66, and total activity down 90. So pretty comparable to last year. Some of the statistics, of course, we had our Sinclair Lewis Days in July and Stearns County Fair that we worked. The Sinclair Lewis Days went rather well, I believe. Everything seemed to run pretty smooth. A pretty large crowd in town for everything, for all the events. I think it was a good turnout, and so not too many calls during it, so we did pretty good for the street dance and everything. For the Stearns County Fair, we ended up, I got a page worth of calls here. We probably had about 10 calls, and looks like we did a bunch of walkthroughs and special detail stuff that we did. I did for the Friday night and Saturday, I did put an extra officer on just for the volume of people that it brings to town, so I don't want to be short. So that's about it for the month of July.
Council, have any questions?
Just wondering if the dog, that's all workable now, the vehicle and...
Still getting the cage. Everything else is in it, but we just sent it back down. There was a delay in the canine kennel portion of it, a delay in that, and it finally came in, so we just sent it down today, or yesterday, to get that put back in.
Okay.
So once that's in, it's completed.
Okay.
So that was kind of
Yeah, I
disappointing.
heard of a dog, a police dog dying due to the heat because it failed. It wasn't, wasn't in Minnesota, but...
Yeah, and that's what this canine kennel is such a good system, because there's actually an alarm in there for the officer. He carries that on. The system turns on fans, exhaust fans, and it'll turn on the car to put the air conditioning on if it reaches a certain temp. So there's a lot of additional wiring and heat package, for the car, or even if it's too cold, it'll turn it on. It'll also alarm the officer too, so, yeah.
Interesting. But that's coming pretty soon. I mean, we'll be...
Yeah, we should have that, we should have it by Monday now. Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
On that same note, with canine, when we had the Night to Unite down here, and Officer Jensen did those 2 demonstrations with the dog, I think everybody was impressed on how smart he is and what he can do. Is there any dollar value as far as what we know he's helped take, how many dollar value in drugs that he's taken off the street?
That's a good question. I can have him, he keeps a running log through a computer program that he keeps of his arrest and stuff. I can ask him, and maybe he can put some numbers together for that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, because I think there's still a lot of people that don't think Sauk Center has a problem, but if you start throwing numbers out, I think it'll show that there is. So.
And a lot of it is not necessarily Sauk Center, but it's a lot of the traffic coming through Sauk Center, and which is nice. We're deterring that, as it's coming into Sauk, and I think we're,
helping out other
helps the situation, So, but I apologize for that. I can get his program. I can get printout from that, and I can bring that to the monthly meetings too, maybe, and give you a little more update on that.
Sure. Thank you. Do that.
Yep.
One other thing. I know you and I have talked about our squads being out on the freeway, that they're only supposed to be out there if they're on a mutual aid call or assisting another agency.
It's not entirely true. I do allow them to work traffic in our city limit portion of the interstate.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Basically, the reason why I got a lot of calls from people that wanted to know how Sauk Center ended up being the person to catch the guy that was doing 111 miles an hour on the freeway when it's a city squad. So
okay. Well, a lot of times in that type of situation too, we are called out to that, and I can't remember if that was the case on that one, but I think Joe was out there at the time. But our policy there is to work the city limit portion of that only. So unless you get a call to assist somewhere else.
Okay. Sounds good. I just figured it'd be good knowledge for everybody to hear. So. Getting more and more calls on that. So,
absolutely.
Anybody else have anything else? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Moving on, ambulance department, second quarter report. Tim?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the second quarter of this year, the ambulance numbers, we had a total of 199 calls, and That brings our total for the year to 325. We're still down from 2014, mainly because we had a kind of a mild winter. So January, February, March, we were very low, mainly because probably the traffic crashes were way down. We still have a total of 55 canceled or no loads, actually a total of 82 transfers to other hospitals. We had transferred patients outside the city of Sauk Center to 16 different hospitals in Minnesota and North Dakota. We did give you a list of the cancel and no load calls, and as far as extra stuff that we've done, we've helped at the Stearns County Fair. Night to Unite, we were present, and also we assisted with the demo derbies at the fair. We did bill out a total of $180,875 worth of bills this quarter. The total $290,107.90 for the year. So that's a quick breakdown of what we've been doing. We've been pretty busy yet again. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions? No. No? I guess not. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Moving on, Planning Commission report. Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, you have a copy of our agenda. We held a meeting on Tuesday, August 11th. We did have a public hearing, which was for a variance, which you'll be taking action on later on the agenda. A copy of our building permit reports for the month of July, and some of those dollar totals. So is there any questions?
Council have any questions? I think last year's pretty comparable to this year. We basically up or down as far as permits.
The dollar amount, the total building value, we're at about $7.6 million, which is, that dollar value is up, but actually I've only issued about 88 permits this year. So the number of permits is down, the value is up. But the church was a large project, and the hospital clinic addition was a large project. So those numbers kind of skew that a little bit.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the council? Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items. 7A, approve resolution 2015-55 providing the abatement of special assessments.
The City Council acted on a similar action to this a few months ago. What this is we do have a parcel of land. It's located on County Road 112, which is the road that goes by the treetop. It's projected to go tax forfeit on August 24th. There's a substantial balance of taxes and assessments that remain unpaid. This is a parcel that received an assessment of $102,000 from the 2002 Lakeshore project. Just over half of those assessments remain unpaid, in addition to taxes and penalties. The debt service for the project has been paid in full, however. The delinquency is as follows. You can see that there is $6,900 delinquent taxes, $62,000 delinquent assessments, and then there's $20,000 penalties and interest. So a total due at the county right now is $90,099. We do have a buyer that has come forward to purchase this property before it goes forfeit. However, with the outstanding balance due, it's not feasible because of the amount due on the sale exceeds the fair market value of the parcel. So the total tax bill, in order to record any document, would have to be paid before they would do that. So we did contact the seller of the property and working through the real estate agent that has it listed, and they did put together a purchase agreement that is signed by all parties, that if the city would consider abating 50%, which would be the city's share of everything that's delinquent, if someone went in and magically paid it off, would be $84,000. So that is the amount of dollars that the city has at risk if this goes forfeit on the 24th of August. And so the negotiation that's being requested is the city abate half of that, or $42,000, so they can go close the sale. And if we do that, then our net will be just over $42,000. So basically, we have $84,000 at risk. If we abate half of that, we'll get the other half. So it's, so I do have it laid out there, our share of taxes, assessments, and the city's share of penalties, so you can see how that lays out. So I did talk to the agent that had it listed to confirm that he did have a purchase agreement that was valid, and we went through all the numbers, and the seller is actually just kind of cleaning it up and walking away with virtually nothing just to get this cleaned up, and rather than let it go forfeited. So what we're requesting tonight is that the city consider to abate $42,000 of special assessments on this project. And I know that we had done that before, and there's always a concern that when we abate taxes, however, on this one, the project is paid in full, and you can see that the risk that we have. So the action that we request tonight is to approve that abatement of special assessments, and the parcel number is 587340006, and this is up on, like I said, up on County Road 112, kind of across from the treetop in that area there. Do you have any questions about how that works?
Questions? Comments? As you can see, the city's got a pretty healthy share of risk on this if it does happen to go to forfeiture. If we can capture half of that by abating the other half, I think it would be in the city's best interest, especially since we have a purchase agreement, so we know that the sale is going to go through if it is abated. So.
I'd rather see us get some of it than none of it at all.
Right. Okay. Any other comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve abatement of $42,000 of special assessments on parcel 94.58734.0006?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Dave. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2015-56 granting variance request.
The Planning Commission, acting as the Board of Adjustment, met on Tuesday, August 8th, at which time they held a public hearing to hear a request for variances for property located at 633 Pine Street South. The home previously located on the property had been demolished. The owner of the property is Pete Norgren. He's requested the variances on behalf of the buyer, who is Matt McCoy, who intends to relocate a house from 109 12th Street South onto the property. So that's one of those ramblers that's along in front of Walmart. And so that one parcel has been sold, and he's moving the house off of that. The setback requests are road right-of-way from Pine Street South. The request is for 25.28 feet, where 30 is required. From 7th Street South, it's 15 feet where 25 is required. And the rear setback, which is the east line because it's a corner lot, 7.3 where 25 is required. The Planning Commission is recommending approval of the request, which keeps the setbacks similar to other homes in the neighborhood. You will see in the resolution that I did, they did have data to support that the home proposed to be located on the parcel is of the same type, style, and size of other homes in the immediate vicinity. Number 2, although the proposed plan requires setback variances on 3 sides, the proposed setbacks are similar in nature to the adjoining properties, and that a home of similar size was previously located on the property. The proposed plan is at 20% impervious where 35 is allowed, so it's well under the impervious requirement. And they found that no adverse impacts to city facilities and services will result from granting the variances. The existing utilities will remain, and the relocated house will not impact those utilities. And the 6th one was granting of the variance will not adversely impact the environment or the surrounding residential properties in the neighborhood. And with those findings, the Planning Commission is recommending that the City Council grant the resolution approving the request for the variances. And I do have in there a copy of the certificate of survey. It kind of shows the proposed house and the lot. And then that kind of highlighted line was kind of the building envelope. You'll see it's kind of an odd shape to fit the house in there, but because it is a house similar to the neighborhood and was being put at similar setbacks, the Planning Commission is recommending it be approved.
Okay. Questions? Comments?
We felt on the Planning Commission that it lined it up better for both streets,
Okay.
and it was unanimous.
It was unanimous. That was my next question.
Yep.
Thank
I would
you.
say, looking at this survey, it very much fits in the
Yeah.
description of our neighborhood.
Yep.
I'm a block away from the proposed site, so.
Okay. And basically, because of the variances, it's an older city lot, so that's basically why that many variances?
Well, it is an older lot on the city side, and the lot itself meets the requirements of one of our pre-existing homes. It's just that if this was a new house going to be located onto that lot, it may not require the variances, but we're dealing with an existing home. So that was why they elected to grant them.
Okay, any other questions or comments? That, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2015-56 granting variance request?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Keith, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approve EMT advancement from probationary to B1.
Ambulance Director Kathy Strufert, she's recommending that Christina Heinen and Andrea Kerfeld be promoted to full EMT status effective August 19th. Heinen and Kerfeld have met the requirements to become full members of the crew, including number of patient contacts. You do have a copy of her recommendation in your packet. So the action requested is to appoint Christina Heinen and Andrea Kerfeld to full EMT status at the rate of $12.23 per hour for run and training hours and $2 per hour for on-call backup hours effective August 19th. 2015.
Questions? Comments?
I just have, I have one question regarding the rate. When is the last time that we've looked at the rates for our EMT?
It has been several years since we have. We do have a scale that is like on a 5-year step system.
Okay.
And probably 2011, maybe, or 2010 is the last time that we actually reviewed those rates. The one thing that did change more recently was the training hours was bumped up to their regular runtime rate.
Okay.
So they did have an increase 2 years ago for that, but the overall scale has not changed in about 5 years, probably.
Any other questions? Or I think with that also, as far as rate, I think when it comes to budget time, you know, the ambulance director and the assistant come with recommendations.
Correct. They will have a recommendation at the budget meeting.
Right. So that'll be another time that we could, the council will get a chance to look at that.
Okay.
And it's based on their recommendations. So, okay. Do I have a motion to appoint Christina Heinen and Andrea Kerfeld to full EMT status at the rate of $12.23 per hour for run and training hours and $2 per hour for on-call/backup hours effective August 19th, 2015?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve EMT advancement from probationary.
That's what that one just was.
Next up.
Sorry about that. Request to advertise for EMTs.
There we go.
There. Forgot to cross that one off.
Yeah.
Ambulance Director Strufert is recommending that the department be authorized to advertise for candidates to take the required EMT certification classes for eventual appointment to the EMT roster for the ambulance service. We have one EMT who is out on medical leave with a return uncertain, and one additional EMT who has indicated he will not renew his license when it's scheduled to renew in March. So she is anticipating a need to fill those positions, and there is a class scheduled to start in October, so it's an optimum time to proceed through this process. And then she did put in there her recommendation. The classes are actually starting in October, and they're held in Alexandria, so it's a good time for us to solicit people that may be interested in taking the class. So her request is to approve the advertisement for the candidates.
Okay, questions? Are we basically looking just to fill those 2 spots, or are we looking to put more?
She was looking to fill those 2 spots, and of course, once we advertise and we see what applies, you know, it may be 1, it may be 2, or there may be a cut line that's between 3 and 4, and we might have to make a decision, but right now she's looking for 2.
Okay.
And once she selects the candidate, then it'll come back to you for approval, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to approve the advertisement for EMT candidates?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dave, second.
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Appoint firefighter as ambulance driver.
Struford is also recommending that we add firefighter Mark Sprengler to its roster as a driver, and the rate of pay for that is $10.20. And that is how, like, Andrea Kerfeld started. She started first as a driver, and then she decided to take the classes, and now tonight you appointed her to a full EMT. So now Mark Sprengler has, they've asked the firemen if there was anybody that would be interested, and he came forward. So she's recommended that he be added to the roster. The driver rate of pay is $10.20.
Okay. Questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to appoint Mark Sprengler as driver for ambulance department?
So moved.
Motion by Heidi, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions or comments? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2015-57 consenting to transfer Charter Communications.
This is not the first time you've seen similar requests like this as the different communication companies switch names and affiliations. Charter Communication has requested that city consent to a transfer. Approval of the transfer by the city is required due to the franchise agreement, and consent confirms that the franchise remains in place. Charter Communications will merge with a subsidiary of New Charter, and New Charter will assume the name Charter Communications. So it's still going to be Charter Communications. It's just that we're going to merge, and then we're going to change their name to be what we are. So, and you'll see in the resolution that they have provided the different FCC requirements that also require that the city approve this because of our franchise agreement. So the request is to approve 2015-57 consenting to the transfer.
Questions? Comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2015-57 consenting to transfer?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Heidi,
I'll second.
second by Diane. Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve participating in MMUA safety training program with the Sauk Center Public Utilities.
Each year, the city participates with the Public Utility on a safety management program. The PUC contracts with MMUA, which is Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association, for these services. The annual cost to the city is 1/2 of the base contract. For the coming year, that amount is $5,100 for the city share. This is divided among the various departments depending on how many employees are in the department. Is that the city approved participation in the Public Utility Safety Management Program with Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association. And once we get the monthly training schedule, then you'll be given that as an informational item too. You can see the types of safety training classes that they take every month. So.
Okay. Questions? I just got one. Is this the same program that we had talked about when we got the schedule as far as what they were trained in?
Correct.
That we thought we could avoid some of the duplication?
Right, what we did was we went to the meeting with them, and then we have some input onto the type of classes that we have, and we also have a new trainer for our area, so they're kind of moving or changing up what the types of programs are. There's some that are required every year, and so every year we go to some of the same ones, but they also have different ones that we can request that they bring, so.
Okay. Well, is this the same cost as last year, or did it go up?
It went up $400, and that's split between the two of us.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
I'm just wondering why the city of Rogers, I believe it is, Rogers, only, they're twice the population, but they still pay the same amount. Is it population-based, or?
It's both population and the type of utility that you have, or the types of training that you have.
So they may
Like,
not have a utility.
if you don't have electric and water and sewer and street and police and fire and all those different programs, then you may not have to pay as much.
Okay, thank you.
The public utility also pays a little bit extra on the side for additional electric training.
That just kind of dawned on me as I was asking the question. I bet they don't have a utility, so.
Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion to approve participation in the Sauk Center Public Utility Safety Management Program with Minnesota Municipal Utilities Association?
So moved.
Motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Acknowledge annual fire relief retirement benefit amount.
The Sauk Center Fire Department Relief Association is presenting a proposal to increase its pension per year of service. This benefit is paid to eligible retired firefighters at the time of retirement and is calculated based on years of service. The investments of the Relief Association are the source of revenue for the payment. The Relief Association is funded through a combination of state aid and municipal contributions. Historically, the city did contribute $3,500 per year to that. This was raised in 2014 to $4,500. However, when there was a time in the past where the city did have to make a larger contribution because their investments weren't enough, like if the investment value drops too far, there's a percentage that kicks in, but that is not the case right now. This year, the investment portfolio would cover the proposed pension at 95%, and that would be as if every firefighter we had all retired tomorrow. And, we realize that can't happen because they're not even all vested yet. So although that they are the funding source of the association, and that's not city funded out for that payment, we have an obligation to make up a shortfall if there ever is one, and that's why the city council gets to review any proposed increase or in the allocation. The history of the pension for year of service over the past 20 years, in 1995 started at $725, and you can see how it's increased over the years, and you can see a number of years where it didn't increase at all. So they are requesting this year an increase of $50 per year of service to a total of $1,825. So that is their request, is that you acknowledge the Fire Relief Association's increase in the benefit amount from $1,775 to $1,825.
Questions? Comments? Okay. Do I have a motion to acknowledge Fire Relief Association increase in the benefit amount from $1,775 to $1,825?
So moved.
A motion by Heidi. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approved payment voucher number 2, Beltline Center project.
The second payment request has been received from Stearns County for the 2015 Beltline and Center project. The total work completed for the city share of the project to date is $618,062.54. The total request for this payment is $544,873.88. And so our request is to approve pay voucher number 2 to Stearns County, $544,873.88.
Questions? Or we'll have one more voucher coming to us for payment, or are we done with our share now?
Oh, no.
Well, I was hoping the
A couple
storm
more,
sewer stuff
a couple
was
more.
done.
I'll make a motion, we are.
I hope you're quite kidding. We have to act on that. Okay, any other questions about the pay voucher? If not, do I have a motion to approve pay voucher number 2 for $544,873.88 to Stearns County?
So moved.
We have a motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approved change orders, Beltline Center project.
We have 3 change orders in your packet. It's as a result of field changes, or in the field changes for the Beltline Center project. We have 3. Number 1 is extra pipe along Center Street to extend the underground along Fleet Supply in that ditch, and that's so that ditch could be filled in. And number 2 was replace and relocate hydrant and water main by the Holiday Station. That was a PUC cost. And the third one is additional subgrade work on Getty Street due to problem soils. If you've recalled in the past, when we've got into some different soil types where we've needed to take out extra soil and replace it. So we have those three things that have been changed. One was, the first one, $6,814.50. The second one, $16,477.13, which would be a PUC cost. And the third one is $13,091.16. So we're requesting approval of change orders 1 through 3.
Okay. Questions, comments? Basically, it's already been done, so it's kind of like after the fact that we approve the change orders, right?
That's in the field, yeah. If they were big change orders, we would have had to stop the project and come
Right.
forward.
So
And
this-
It would cost more to stop the project and come and get a meeting together than it would be just to
Right.
move forward.
This could be somewhat expected then.
Oh, yes, we always budget for some contingencies.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Do I have a motion to approve change orders number 1 through number 3?
So moved.
I have a motion by Keith, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other comments or questions? Call the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, transit bus garage offered to purchase.
Previously, the policy committee had met with representatives from TRICAP regarding the bus garage in the industrial park, and this was a little while ago. MnDOT had requested that TRICAP encumber the city in that agreement that if they ever discontinued bus service there, that MnDOT would be paid back 80% of the value of the building because they gave a grant for 80% of the construction costs. And at that meeting, it came up that TRICAP entertained a proposal to us that maybe they would just buy us out of the building completely. And so she went back, we waited, I said, well, I'd bring it to the city council to see if they were interested in that, but that she had to go to her board first. And now she has contacted me and said their board would like to entertain making an offer to the city to buy us out of the transit building if the city council felt that that might be a good idea. So I am bringing it to you tonight to see if you would authorize negotiation of a sale, or if you feel strongly we should keep it. How it is the city put up the land, you know, with the parking lot and that type of thing, and there was a grant from MnDOT for 80% of the building construction costs. So with TRICAP dollars, it's going to take, you know, appraisals and those types of things. So the numbers are they're going to have specific numbers they're going to target. You know, and she said they don't want to invest the money in finding out that information if the city isn't interested in entertaining an offer. So I thought I would bring it to you tonight. If you're interested in entertaining an offer for that facility, then I'll get back to her and tell her to bring one forward. And at that time, either it can go to committee or in negotiation of real estate, the city council can meet in closed session. So that's your options. But at this point, I'm just want to give her some feeling of whether you would even entertain the idea.
Okay. Comments? Questions? Anyone had any certain feelings one way or the other?
Yeah, it's kind of a mess, we'd be well clear of it.
Yeah, true. Do we use any part of it now, since we built the cold storage building?
Well, we do have 3 stalls that are ours, and we talked to them about once we are using the old ambulance garage in the senior center area, that perhaps we could rent them a couple stalls if they really needed them. But because they have transportation dollars, MnDOT won't even let them use those dollars to rent that building from us or do anything to the building until this issue is cleared up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So even if the stalls were empty, they can't use them.
Right,
So,
okay. Then, basically, this property's not on the tax roll since we own it,
Correct.
right?
correct.
So even if they bought it, it'll stay not on the tax rolls? Or would
No,
it?
their properties are not exempt.
Okay, all right,
Or they have a percentage. It's a different percentage than,
okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Do I have a motion to authorize negotiation of sale of property to TRICAP?
Yes, so moved.
We have a motion by Dave. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments or questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Railroad property title / demolition.
The quiet title action is finally coming to an end on our purchase of the railroad property, which is the Zaire Silver Fir. If you've been by there, you'll see survey stakes out there that was all part of that whole quiet title action. We did ask the area contractors that have done our hazardous building demolitions to provide us with quotes for demolition so we can kind of decide how we want to go about taking those down. So we did request for the demolition of the 2 buildings and all the concrete. The one building, our public works staff could take down. The other building is we don't have the equipment for that. And also with the concrete, you know, it may be best to contract that out. But we did solicit the quotes. When those come in, we'll bring it back to the city council. We just wanted to let you know kind of where we're at with that process. So that's just information only.
Transportation fund allocation for small cities.
You know, I had mentioned this to the city council before, that there was a possibility of transportation funding coming to small cities as a result of the last transportation bill. They did pass this spring, and it's a one-time allocation for 2015. The city's share is $55,715. They did say that the funding can only be used for construction and maintenance of roads, but these are the 4 things, and it kind of covers everything. You can have land acquisition, environmental analysis, design, engineering, construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of roads within the city, including road projects partially located within the city, projects on state-aid highways located within the city, and cross-participation on road projects under the jurisdiction of another unit of government. So any street funding any street money we would need to spend, this money would be available for. And so what we're looking for is kind of some funding allocation. I know it's on the staff level, we probably have some recommendations. The time of the year maybe not so good for thinking about starting a road project, and maybe we want to just have the opportunity to hold that over till next year to combine it with another project. But I just wanted to let you know that that money is now available for us. And you know, what are your thoughts on it? You know, do you think we should hold it over and that we'll do that during the budget at the end of the year? Or do you think we should, you know, go out there and use it on something right now or apply it to something? So what are your thoughts on that?
Is there anything to apply it to right now?
The only thing we have outstanding is the big project that's going on right now.
Okay, that would wipe out the change orders.
It would. Or we can add it to our budget for mill and overlay next year and maybe get a couple more blocks out of it. Or, you know, it's.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I think put it in next year and get some road work done.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I think putting it on to next, personally, I think putting it next year, at least then that way we got an idea when we go into budget what we can do, you know, rather than throw it in now without having a really good look at what's gonna,
Okay.
what we've got out
Yeah.
there.
We'll just kind of plan for that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
General consent,
Yep.
good enough for that.
Yeah, I don't think we need a motion.
Public Works Supervisor probation status.
This is just your notification that Matt Ziniel has been with the city now past 6 months, and this signifies the end of his probationary period. And we joked that we were on probation too, and he's still here, so it must mean that he's staying. So that was just kind of for your information.
Okay. An update, Center Street Beltline Road Project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First of all, thanks for approving those change orders. Sorry they were kind of rushed, but because of that meeting being not held next week, or our first one in September, we tried to get it through, otherwise it'd been quite a long time for that second meeting, so appreciate that. On the project, all of the pipe is now complete for all portions of the project. Getty Street will actually be, if the weather cooperates, should be paving potentially Friday or Saturday. That should be paved. Then restoration will kind of start after that, so that project's, that portion of it's moving into being finalized. On Center Street, the curb work should start next week. There's gravel down on it now, so curb next week. Paving would be anticipated the following week, and then restoration in that portion of the project. In terms of the ponds themselves, all the ponds the restoration has started. Unfortunately, they're really wet now, so we're going to have to let them dry out a little bit before we can finish the fine grading on the bottoms of them, but those are nearing completion as well, so getting pretty close. I want to let the council know we negotiated a little change on their completion dates. The Getty portion, Beltline portion of the project was coming kind of close to being done. The contractor asked for a few more days. We said, okay, we'll give you a few more days up to when school starts. So negotiated up to 8/31 for that completion date. But then we also took back about 30 days from the Center Street portion, so we moved that completion date up. So that one's to 9/30, so change some of those, and that'll work well, I think, for us as well as for them. So any questions that you may have?
Since you mentioned school starting, have we been in contact with the school, with transportation, as far as letting them know how things are going to work with that area of town?
Yeah, actually, I haven't yet, but we will do that.
Okay.
Make sure that gets done.
Because I'm pretty sure they're going to want to know where their buses can go and can't go. And
right.
like that.
There'll be paving on Beltline, so I suspect by the time things will be largely open by the time school starts.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I don't have the counties, I'm just kind of guessing at how much tonnage they got to put down, but I'm thinking they will probably be done by the time school starts, so.
Okay.
So I think, other than maybe Center Street, and I don't even know if buses go down Center Street at all, but I'm guessing they don't. So I'm thinking they probably won't have any issues.
Okay.
But we'll be in contact with them.
Okay.
Any other
other
questions?
comments or questions? No. Thank you, Keith.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
New business, upcoming meeting schedule.
I had talked to Warren a little bit about this. So we talked about a budget workshop, and so we talked about not having the regular meeting on September 2nd, and then having the budget workshop on September 9th. And so I wanted to bring that up. Does that work for everybody, or how that would work? And that budget workshop is when all the staff members come in and have the opportunity to present their budget, where we sit around kind of in a circle. And the one thing from last year that we had recommended, that kind of do it in phases, like bring the public safety people in, like police, fire, and ambulance or whatever, and get that part out of the way, bring public works and parks in and get that part out of the way, and then probably finish up with administration instead of having the staff sit through the whole thing. So we'll probably arrange it that way. So a little bit different arrangement on how we present it, but the same procedure basically, that we sit down and have a roundtable discussion on it. And then what happens is then it comes back for formal adoption with any changes that you might make. Then you get another budget that's amended and updated, and then that's adopted at the regular meeting, which would be the second meeting, and then we have to certify it to the county by the end of September. So that's kind of a suggested meeting schedule, but now's our opportunity to switch it up if anybody has conflicts.
Anyone got any problems with the 9th of September as our budget meeting? No. And we will get the budget to us?
Yes. It's already been completed.
Okay.
So she's just going to get it bound up and sent out to you.
Okay, sounds good. So by the time the 9th rolls around, we should be all set with whatever we have for suggestions and plans.
Right, and then you two on the finance committee, if you can get any suggestions to me ahead of time, like if there's something that really is glaring for you, so I have answers before we go into the workshop, because usually the finance committee gets a shot at it ahead of it, so.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. That we will move on to the consent agenda. We have the schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $85,319.71. And then on July checks of $808,284.16. We have an attachment resolution number 2015-58 approving an off-site gambling permit for the Sauk Center Youth Hockey Association. This permit will allow pull tabs for an event to be held on October 3rd, 2015 at the Sauk Center Civic Arena. We also have the Sauk Center Youth Hockey Association to submit an application and permit for a one-day temporary on-sale liquor license for a concert at the Sauk Center Civic Arena on October 3rd, 2015. Fee and certificate of insurance has been provided. Pam Borgman, representing the Grillin' and Chillin' event on September 12th, 2015, has requested approval of a road closure for Park Road from the west parking lot entrance at the band shell to the public access. This will allow for parking of classic cars for the Classic Car Show. And a request from Kathy Nelson, DBA Red Carpet, for a temporary extension of premise permit for a beanbag tournament and possibly a band in back parking lot on August 22nd, 2015, from noon to 12:30 a.m. Is there any questions or comments concerning the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion by Dave.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Anything else? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. We then have informational items. Vicki?
You'll see in here, you have your safety committee meeting minutes, and one thing on the safety committee meeting minutes toward the bottom, you see the coordinator's report. He kind of talks about upcoming events. September 16th is the OSHA inspections and protocol, and he reviews building inspections, goes around and sees things that may be something subject to OSHA. And then he'll have a safety committee meeting, defensive driving, backing training, and then there'll be a street opening permits and contractor agreements, traffic control. So those are the types of things that are in the upcoming classes for the safety committee. Item number B is notice of pay equity compliance. We did receive a notice of compliance with the Pay Equity Act, and that copy is in there for you. And item C is the League of Minnesota Cities regional meeting. Every fall, the League of Minnesota Cities goes around the state, and they hold classes. Anyone that's interested in attending can do so. A lot of times, you'll see staff doing the afternoon ones, and council a lot of times will come to the evening ones, but council is invited to go to any of them if you wish. I believe the cost is $40, and it includes a meal. So it's a pretty good, and it gets you to talk about different things. One thing that's interesting this year that they haven't talked so much about is City Hall security. People don't think about that too much, but with different things that are happening, they're starting to suggest that that be ramped up a little bit. There's also things about relationships, and then we talk about the legislative sessions and transportation roadblocks, and so those are all the types of things that they talk about. So if anybody's interested in attending those, just please let us know and we'll get you signed up. They're held at 6 or 7 locations on different dates around the state. So that's all I have.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Second by Keith. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.